It is Monday, December 8th, 2025, and the day that promised to bring Mazi Nnamdi Kanu back to Abuja for a critical hearing has just ended in a legal stalemate that will leave his millions of supporters frustrated for at least another 6 weeks, because the Federal High Court in Abuja has not just adjourned the case, it has effectively slammed the door on any immediate transfer from Sokoto Prison. The headline you saw is accurate based on reports from The Nation and Daily Post. The court has rejected Nnamdi Kanu's request to be transferred from Sokoto Prison, a ruling that has sent shockwaves through the legal and political landscape of the Southeast. We are broadcasting this breaking news update live from Abuja to unpack the ruling delivered just hours ago by Justice James Omotosho, which has turned the hope of a Christmas return into the cold reality of a new year in Sokoto. While the legal team and the brother who tried to represent him last week were praying for an order that will bring Kanu closer to his lawyers and his family, the court has ruled that such a monumental decision cannot be made behind the back of the federal government. The judge declined the ex-parte application, which in plain English means a request made by one side without the other present, and instead ordered that the government must be put on notice. This procedural move might sound like legal jargon, but its impact is devastating. It has pushed the next hearing all the way to January 27, 2026. Let's get straight to the gist of why the judge said no today and why this is being viewed by many as a calculated delay tactic. Nnamdi Kanu, acting through the Legal Aid Council, a significant development we'll discuss in a moment, filed an urgent application asking the court to compel the federal government or the Nigerian Correctional Service to move him immediately from Sokoto Correctional Center. He offered practical alternatives: bring him to Kuje in Abuja or move him to Suleja or Kefi in neighboring states. His argument was not just about comfort, it was about the fundamental right to a fair hearing. He argued, how can I fight a life sentence when I am locked away 700 kilometers from the court? He stated clearly that his location in the remote northwest makes his constitutional right to appeal impracticable because his lawyers simply cannot access him regularly to prepare the complex paperwork needed for the Supreme Court. However, Justice Omotosho ruled that moving a high-profile prisoner like Kanu is not a simple administrative task that can be ordered unilaterally by a judge without hearing from the jailers. He stated that an order for transfer could not be granted without hearing from the federal government. The judge wants to hear the side of the Department of State Services and the Correctional Service. Why did they move him to Sokoto in the first place? Is it truly for security as they claim, or is it punitive? By demanding a fair hearing for the government, the same government that Kanu accuses of violating his rights, the judge has essentially paused Kanu's request and bought the state more time. He directed Kanu to convert his application into a motion on notice and serve it to the government lawyers so they can come and argue their case, a process that drags the timeline out for months. This ruling has profound and terrifying implications for Nnamdi Kanu's safety. First, it means he will spend Christmas and New Year in Sokoto Prison, isolated from his kinsmen during the most culturally significant time of the year for the Igbo people. The hope of a Christmas miracle release or transfer is now legally dead, unless the political solution we discussed earlier ticks in with a presidential pardon. But more importantly, it means he remains in the eye of the storm regarding the insecurity in the northwest. We must talk about the Lakurawa factor. This is not just about distance, it is about danger. Sokoto is currently the operational base of the new terror group Lakurawa, which is affiliated with ISIS in the Sahel. These terrorists are armed with drones, satellite communications, and heavy weaponry, and they have been launching attacks in Tangaza and Guru, just kilometers from where Kanu is held. By leaving him there until January 2026, the court is arguably gambling with his life in a region that is effectively a war zone. We also have to look at the Legal Aid Council angle, which is a massive twist in this saga. Last week, the judge told Kanu's brother he couldn't represent him because he wasn't a lawyer. Today, it seems the Legal Aid Council, a government body tasked with defending indigenous citizens, stepped in to file this application. This is significant because it suggests that Kanu, having sacked his private legal team, is now relying on state-provided counsel to fight the state. Is this a sign of desperation, or is it a strategic move to force the government to take responsibility for his legal defense since they have made it impossible for private lawyers to reach him? It paints a picture of a man who has been stripped of everything: his freedom, his preferred lawyers, and now his access to the court. So January 2026 is the new target, and for a man in a maximum security prison in a volatile region, that date feels like a lifetime away. The fear among his supporters is that the delay tactics they warned about are now in full swing.
The government has successfully bought time to keep him away from the media, away from the diplomatic pressure in Abuja, and away from his family. They have effectively silenced him without formally banning him from speaking. Every day he spends in Sokoto is another day his voice is unheard, and his influence is contained. So, while the political secret deals with Governor Alex Otti and the Sultan of Sokoto continue behind closed doors, the legal door has been firmly shut for the rest of the year. Nnamdi Kanu remains in the northwest, surrounded by strangers and potential enemies. The Sokoto trap holds firm, and the legal battle has been pushed into 2026, leaving a nation to wonder if justice delayed is indeed justice denied. What do you think? Was the judge right to demand the government side before moving him, or should he have granted the transfer immediately to ensure fair hearing for Kanu? And are you worried about his safety in Sokoto given the Lakurawa threat? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.